Hello, NA Summer here, and welcome to this mid-year Freakout Tag. Decided to follow the cool kids and do what they're all doing. It looked like fun. Yeah, I first saw Alan from the Library of Alexandria and Johanna Reeds do this in a live stream. Then I saw Belltube and John from Talking Story. A lot of people have been doing this tag and it looked like a lot of fun, so I decided to join. And let's just get right into it with prompt number 1. Best book you've read so far? Well, this one was pretty close for me. I think Warbreaker has a chance to pass this book up, but not really. I think Oathbringer has been the best book I've read so far. I believe I finished it in January. I am not 100% on that. I haven't been keeping track because I didn't have a channel before a couple months ago. So, yeah. Oathbringer is maybe my third favorite of the 4, but it is still really good. I enjoyed that book a lot. Words of Radiance is still up there, but I read that last year. And The Way of Kings I also read last year, but Oathbringer, very good. It is well deserving of best book of the year, I think. And then that leads us in to best sequel, because the best sequel I read was also Oathbringer. I have not read any other sequels this year, unless you count the novella, but I don't know if that really counts. Oathbringer has some really epic moments in it. The Sander Lanch at the end is one of the best. That big old battle that they lead into is awesome. Crazy stuff happens during it that I can't say because of spoilers. But yeah, the ending of that book is very good. The story that Dalinar has is heartbreaking and brutal, and it just gives so many layers to that character. Dalinar is a pretty nuanced, awesome character, and it's really awesome to see his story fleshed out and the continuation of the story of the Stormlight Archive to keep going. And I'm excited for things to keep going. With that, let's go to number 3. New release you're excited about. I think the best new release that's out that I'm excited about is probably The Tainted Cup. I've seen a few people put out reviews for that, and in what they say about the story, it just sounds very interesting, and I am wanting to read it. Right here it says, a Holmes and Watson style detective duo take the stage in this fantasy with a mystery twist. From the Edgar-winning and multiple Hugo-nominated Robert Jackson Bennett. But next, number 4 is most anticipated release for the second half of the year, and same as a lot of other people have said, I am going to say Wind and Truth by Brandon Sanderson. Stormlight Book 5. As you've seen, I've read Oathbringer. I've also read Rhythm of War, and I am caught up on the Stormlight Archive. There's some other books I might have to read. We'll get into that later. But this Wind and Truth being an end of an arc is very exciting, and I can't wait to see how it ends. And I am sure it's going to be epic, because that's what Brandon Sanderson does with endings. He makes them epic. That leads us to number 5, the biggest disappointment of the year. And kind of just brought it up, but Rhythm of War is not really a disappointment. I like that book. I think it's really good. It is my least favorite of the Stormlight Archive, but honestly, I don't have any disappointments this year so far. Everything I've read, I've liked a lot. So that was kind of a just a little a poke, just to scare you. It's not really a disappointment. I like the book a ton, and I don't really have any disappointments. Then number 6, biggest surprise, I'm going to say Dawn Shard by Brandon Sanderson. So, as you can see, there's a lot of Brandon Sanderson on here. When I got back into reading, I started with Mistborn, and I have a lot of catching up to do with everybody else before book 5 comes out, and that's what I've been reading, is a lot of Brandon Sanderson to catch up and join the hype and be able to talk to everybody, and it's pretty awesome. But I'm saying Dawn Shard here because with it being just a little side novella and everything, I was not expecting a lot. I was like, oh, this is just going to be a fun story. Let's just read it and get all the context and everything. And I wasn't wrong. It is a fun story. I liked it a lot. And it's not because of the Lopen. Lopen is not really one of my favorite characters, but Risen and Cheery Cheery are both great, and this story was awesome with them, and I really enjoyed seeing it. And I hope we see them more in Wind and Truth. That would be awesome. Next question, favorite new author. And this one is kind of a cheat because it's the only new author to me this year, and that is Tom King, the writer of Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow. I have read some comics, but not very much, and Tom King was not one I have read before, and that story was a very fun story. The other thing I probably could say is George R.R. Martin, but I'm literally not even 100 pages in, so I feel like that's kind of cheating if I say George R.R. Martin already. So I'm not going to, but I have a feeling at the end of the year I might say my new favorite author is George R.R. Martin. But for now, it is Tom King. Which brings me into our next question, biggest crush, fictional crush of the year. And I have to say, I don't really have fictional crushes on anyone, but if I had to pick an answer, I'm just going to go with Supergirl. Who doesn't like Supergirl? Like, she looks great, she kicks butt, she has a cool dog, and she's a lot of fun to be around. That was a cool story, and like I said, I don't really have any fictional crushes, but if I had to choose one, that's probably it. Then, new favorite character, I am going to go with Light Song from Warbreaker. Warbreaker, I also just read. It was the last book I read. I enjoyed it a lot, and I probably, I feel like I could go with Vasher or Nightblood, but I think I'm going to pick Light Song. I really liked Light Song's story. I liked his whole deal being a deity and kind of like butting up against his own ideals of if he really is a deity or anything, and it was just really cool. And then his whole journey is poetic and awesome, and his personality is pretty great. The humor didn't always hit, but I did enjoy him for the most part, and I think that's what I'm going to pick. I just liked his overall story, the way it begins and ends. Vasher has a good chance of being a character I like more in the future, but the whole arc we get of Light Song in this book just is my favorite of the year. In number 10, we go into book that made you cry, and I brought this book up before, Rhythm of War. There is a couple of scenes that I will say had me tearing up a little bit. I didn't full out blown like sob or anything, but I did probably get like a tear going. And I don't think I don't remember Oathbringer doing that to me. I don't think it brought any tears. It was mainly full of really awesome moments. It did have some tragic moments, but those tragic moments didn't really make me cry. They were tragic in a different way. But Rhythm of War did have some characters we grow close to, and yeah, it was a little rough. We'll just say that. Book that made me happy, I will have to say Warbreaker, and I don't have it on me, so we'll bring it up. Bing, right there. As soon as I finished the book, I lent it to somebody because I thought they would enjoy it, and yeah, Warbreaker made me quite happy. It was a very fun book. Definitely had a very nice ending, and the journey that Ciri and Vivenna go through. Vivenna's story for a little bit there is definitely not happy, but the end of the book is pretty happy, and it was just an enjoyable book. So I have to say that was the one that made me happy. Then next would be favorite adaptation. I have a feeling I could say Dune 2 here, but I actually haven't seen it yet, and I haven't seen Shogun yet. So I'm going to go with the anime route, since it's manga adapted, and say the newest season of Demon Slayer on Netflix, which I know I'm a season behind because the newest season's only on Crunchyroll, I believe. But I still watched the newest season that Netflix has this year, and it was pretty good. The Sword Village arc, I really enjoy the whole Tanjiro and Nezuko arc. I'm trying to change things for her, and yeah, it's just a really cool show. And this season had some pretty interesting things happen. We'll just say that. Yeah, the ending of that was interesting. And I'm behind a season, so I'm interested to see what's going on in that one. We'll see. And then the last question, must read before the end of the year. All right, so this one is interesting. I could say Game of Thrones, since I'm currently reading it, and it'd be kind of sad if I didn't finish it. But it's not really like a must read. When are we getting the next book? Who knows? I really want to read all these Game of Thrones books, and I probably will. But are they a must read? But I could also say the secret projects. I have all of Brandon Sanderson's secret projects here that I haven't read yet. And what if there's connections somehow in Stormlight 5? That's a possibility. So, I do kind of want to get to those too. I think I'm going to throw them in between Game of Thrones books, but that also brings up Mistborn Era 2. I feel there could definitely be, since that series has been out for a while now, longer than the secret projects, I feel like there definitely could be some Mistborn Era 2 things popping up in the Stormlight archive that it might be like, I'm not sure the timeline. Era 2 might be after Stormlight 5, but there still might be like connections that you see that I don't know about because I haven't read yet. So I might try and fit Era 2 in between as well. I currently don't have those books. But yeah. What do you think I should try and fit in before Stormlight 5? Let me know in the comments. Answer these questions if you want in the comments. I'd be glad to see what you have and talk with you, and I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you in the next one.